So that's when these problems can arise, is when we're exposed to all these different sorts of toxins, and our body does not know what to do with them. So again, it's really a kind of difficult thing to define, but there's so many things that I consider to be toxins. And do I consider this to be a major problem? I do. I consider this to be, really a major health risk. And something that highlights this is a good case that I saw. Well, actually, this is a case of associates of mine, but this just shows you how important it is to live a toxic-free life and also to take part in a detoxification program. So this patient, this was a 22-year-old medical school student. So if that doesn't tell you something, I mean, something was wrong right off the bat. But what was happening was that she was about to drop out of school because she was just feeling so weird. She had all these weird neurologic symptoms, and she was really getting debilitated. She had these terrible headaches, fatigue that was debilitating, but memory problems. That was one of her main complaints. Again, if you think about it, in medical school, if you have memory problems, yeah, you're gonna have a difficult time getting through that. But she also had these weird kind of peripheral neuropathy, just change in sensations, a lack of sensation, like in her fingers and her toes. And she had been through a bunch of different doctors and through a bunch of different tests. That's one of the perks as being a medical school student. You kind of go through all the different specialists and say, hey, what's wrong with me? And so they can kind of do some different testing, and really all the tests that was done, nothing really came back positive except for slightly elevated liver function tests, and that actually kind of pinpointed what likely this problem was. So she went through a bunch of different specialists, and no one was able to figure out what the problem was. She was just continuing to get worse and worse. But she came in to see us, and again, what kind of clued us off was these liver function tests, because the liver is the most important organ when it comes to detoxification. So that really kind of was a red flag to us that we really needed to focus in on toxins for her. So what we did, of course, first step was to kind of get rid of the exposure to a lot of these toxins, but we also had to put her on more of a thorough detoxification program. And it wasn't one of those things that was the next day, but it was like in a couple of weeks, she had basically gone from being debilitated, about to drop out of school, to feeling like $1 million. I mean, she really was a complete turnaround. All of her neurologic symptoms went away, and didn't have any of the memory problems. Her energy was great, and of course, she was so grateful for coming to our practice that she said that she's going to now plan on going into integrative medicine. So we'll see if that actually sticks or not, but it just shows you how powerful it is when you actually do get rid of these toxins. And the truth is, we live in a toxic world. No one's going to argue about that. Well, if you do, then you don't understand this, because there have been so many studies on how many toxins are floating around in our body that, again, it's hard to argue that toxins are a major problem. Some of the studies, when they look at the blood of individuals, they estimate that at any given time we have between 150, that's on the low end, up to about 800 different toxins in our bodies, and that's really what they can even test for. So there's probably thousands more that they can't even test for that are floating around in our body at any given time. And this exposure really starts from day one. There was a study in 2009 that looked at the cord blood of babies that were born in 2009, and what they found in these babies is that they had 232 chemicals in their blood already. So that means they're getting exposed from right off the bat, and that's what also looking at pregnant women. In this other study that I was reading, is that in a study looking at pregnant women, 100%, so all of them had detectable levels of pesticides and air pollutants. So 100%. That's hard to ignore. That every pregnant woman had some detectable levels of these toxins. And the reason why I'm saying there's so many more likely chemicals that are part of the problem is that there are at least 84,000 chemicals on the market today. And they come out with more and more every day. But the problem is only about 1% of them have been studied for safety. So all the other 83,000, 900 and some have not been tested for safety. And so that doesn't give me much hope that these chemicals really are going to be good for our health. And like I said, I think they can cause a lot of problems. So the examples of toxins, again, there's 84,000 of them out there, but these are some of the major ones that I focus in on. So there's the parabens, the PCBs, the persistent organic pollutants, the pesticides, heavy metals. You guys can go down the list here, but two things that, or actually three things that I also included in this list are the personal care products, including those that are for babies and for kids and for pregnant women, as well as artificial sweeteners. I consider those toxins. And then the last thing here is sugar. I also throw this in the list as well. I think that sugar, if you go back to my definition, is that anything when present in excessive amounts is detrimental to our health. And sugar, I think you could say that. So there has been kind of this argument over the past couple of years whether or not we should start considering sugar a toxin. And I think again it depends on how you define it, but I think you can make that claim. So these personal care products, again, these things are loaded with these toxins. And if you have something near you, you probably have like a hand moisturizer or maybe a little antibacterial thing. You can just look at the label and you can just see how many different things are in there. If you have something, you can type it in the chat box what you're able to find out with, or what you're able to see in that. But some of the major ones that I consider to be, again, toxins in all these personal care products, the phthalates and the parabens, those are some major ones. I think those are really detrimental to health, and that has been well studied. I think color pigments, something that's just called a fragrance. Fragrance also is considered a toxin. There's the polyethylene glycol, the propylene glycol. One of the major things in the soaps and like the shampoos are the sodium lauryl sulfates and the sodium lauryl sulfates. And then something in the kind of hand sanitizer is the triclosan. Triclosan, I'm not sure if you were aware of this, but this actually has some detrimental effects on testosterone levels in men. And we have seen some of those cases where men have had lower levels if they have a lot of exposure to this. So I don't see anyone posting any toxins on there. That's okay. But what I'd encourage you to do is go look sometime at your personal care products and see what you see in there. Like I said, I bet you see something about the sodium lauryl sulfates. You probably see propylene glycol. It's good to keep some of these in mind, and like I said, go look and see what you're actually putting on your skin. Because the problem is, whatever you put on your skin, and this is not, again, absolute, but whatever you put on your skin is going to be absorbed into your bloodstream. So if you're putting all these things in your skin, you're going to have it into your blood, and it's going to go to your organs, and it's going to go to all the other systems, and it's going to cause problems. So this is a lot of times is very important. One of the first steps we have to do when we're trying to slow down the detoxification or to enhance detoxification. The other thing that I, again, lump into this is the artificial sweeteners, and I think, Emily, you want to talk about this a little bit?
Sure, yes, I would love to talk about artificial sweeteners. So we have a few mentioned here, sucralose #1, aspartame, and can you pronounce that one for me?
Acesulfame K.
Acesulfame K, thank you, and saccharin. And I think a lot of people are familiar with aspartame and saccharin and have removed those from their diets. We don't tend to use the pink and blue packets as much anymore. But I want you to be especially aware of sucralose. You are going to find sucralose in almost every single lower sugar or light or sugar-free product that you find on the market. You're going to find this in a lot of things that would otherwise be healthy. So, down to when you get your sugar-free shot of flavoring at the coffee shop, that is sweetened with sucralose. Pretty much anything that you get out there, that you find out there that's sugar-free is sweetened with sucralose. And unfortunately, this is not safer than the other products that we've come to sort of ban. It's been marketed really well, and they, of course, used to have the ads that it was made from sugar, and then, of course, had to remove those through a lawsuit. Because it's not sugar and it's not anything really close to sugar. So that is the one you really need to be aware of. In a lot of low sugar products, protein bars, protein powder, almost every protein powder is sweetened with sucralose. So just make sure you're really reading those labels. It could be under the Splenda name, or it's probably just generally under sucralose these days.
Yeah, one point that I want to make on artificial sweeteners, because there has been a lot of research done on artificial sweeteners the past couple of years, because a lot of times people with blood sugar problems, what they'll do, they'll turn to artificial sweeteners instead. But the studies are actually showing that these are just as bad for blood sugar as just regular sugar is. So it doesn't really do your body any good switching over to these things. Like I said, not only is it not any better for your blood sugar, it's not any better for your weight either. That's the other thing that has not been proven. People say, yeah, well, I'm drinking diet, Coke instead of regular Coke. Sorry, that doesn't work. And that's never been proven to help. So again, I do consider these things. These things should be something that you avoid. And now, so when I'm talking about toxins and causing problems to your body, what I'm talking about is what I consider the toxic load. So the toxic load is kind of good representation here, this garbage can, because if we're just exposed, let's say, to a little bit of sucralose, and that's it, that's all we have, that's probably not going to overload our toxic load, and it's probably not going to end up causing health problems down the road. But the other thing to consider here is that each of us have a unique sized garbage can that we can hold for our toxic load. Some people have larger garbage cans that can hold a lot of trash, and they actually can hold a fair amount of toxins before they have these issues. But other people have just one of those little side trash cans that fill up very quickly because they are not able to detoxify as quickly as someone else can. And that has to do with genetics, it has to do with exercise, it has to do with lots of different things. But again, the concept here is that we all are given a unique size of a garbage can, and the more toxins we put into that garbage can and the less we can get rid of, the more it's going to continue to build up. And we also all have a threshold. So once those toxins build up to a certain level and they start spilling out over the trash can, that's when we reach kind of a critical point, and that's when we start seeing these health problems like we were seeing in that medical school student that I gave in that case. So this is what we're talking about when we're talking about a toxic load, and it's a good concept to keep in mind. And like I was saying, these toxins, they do create problems, especially when they get to that critical point. One of the most well-studied effects of all these toxins that they are major hormone disruptors. So you've probably seen, the cartoons or commercials about a frog, turning from a male to a female, or a frog with like 3 eyes because it lives in a toxic waste dump. But that's what happens with these hormone disruptors, like so turning a male to a female. It really does affect these sex hormones. So like I was mentioning the triclosan, that can affect testosterone in men, and triclosan is in a lot of these different hand sanitizers. A lot of the other plasticizers, like the parabens and the phthalates, they have major effects and major estrogenic type properties that can really go and disrupt hormones. They also can go and cause problems with the thyroid. I see a ton of people with thyroid problems, and that's kind of my niche in the integrative medicine community. And a lot of them are having what's called thyroid resistance because their receptors aren't working very well. And all those different toxins and those chemicals, they can block the thyroid hormone from going and doing its job. So then they have what we call thyroid resistance, and that's a major problem. Also causes a blood sugar imbalances, like I was talking about with the artificial sweeteners. But not only those, the toxins like the persistent organic pollutants, those have also been shown to raise blood sugar. So sometimes I have people that are eating well, they're exercising, they're doing all the right things, but they still come in with a hemoglobin A1C of like 6.1. A lot of times that suggests that they are toxic because they're full of something causing the blood sugar to go up. Also causes neurotoxicity. A lot of times these toxins are fat-soluble toxins, so they'll go and preferentially they'll go and be stored in fat. But what we don't maybe not always think about is that the fat is also like our brain. Our brain is made up a lot of fat. Same with the peripheral nerves; they're all encoded with this kind of fat cells. But they can go in there and they cause a lot of problems. We've had people with really high levels of heavy metals, and they have foot drop, where one of their right foot doesn't work as well, or they have like a loss of sense of smell. That's another one that we see, and that's actually a really cool story. And if you ever catch me, I'll tell you it sometime. But we actually had someone that had lost their sense of smell for like the past 20 years, and once we got them to detoxify, they actually regained their sense of smell. Really pretty cool case. It also has been shown to be related to certain cancers and behavior disorders, especially with kids. So I think these can cause some major problems. So what can you do? So let's talk about some practical things here, and these are the 3 must-dos that you need to do because we're all being exposed, and this is a problem for all of us. the things we got to do. So first thing is to reduce our exposure. That's going to be most important. Next thing is to drink ultra pure distilled water, because we don't want to be continue to expose ourselves to more toxins while we're drinking. But also, the more water you drink, the better you're able to filter out these toxins. And then we have to enhance the liver's ability to eliminate these toxins. So reducing our exposure, this is by far the most important thing we need to do to start fixing our bodies and to start getting rid of these toxins. Because it's just like that toxic load. One of the first things you got to stop doing is keep putting trash into that trash can. So if you can reduce your exposure, that will make a huge difference. And one of the best ways to do that is to get rid of the toxins that you're putting on your skin, like with those personal care products, as well as to stop eating toxin-laden foods. And those are two of the most important things to do. So if you can go to a toxic-free skincare line and you can start eating more clean, organic foods, you're far along the way as far as reducing your exposure to toxins. Emily, do you have something to?
Yeah, and when we're talking about food here, people ask a lot of times, well, what does that mean as far as eating clean? And what we encourage is eating the highest quality food that you can afford. And there you can look out there for lists about the dirty dozen and that kind of thing, so you can see which foods you need to make sure you're eating organic. And then when it comes to meats and that kind of thing, pasture raised is definitely best. Organic would be second, and then the traditional meats would be last. And simply because those animals are eating the feed and that's laden with all these toxins that we're talking about, and then their bodies become, are rampant with them as well, including injected hormones and the things that are put into their feed and so forth. So those are the two big things to pay attention to there, is the quality of your meat and making sure that you're at least buying organics for that dirty dozen.
Yeah, that's a good point. Did you want to talk about the toxic versus non-toxic?
Sure, yeah. So the difference between toxic-free and non-toxic is actually pretty confusing. So this is the Consumer Reports label. Non-toxic is really not meaningful and can be misleading because there's no standard definition judging whether a product or its ingredients are non-toxic. And so there's really no assurance, because almost every label that you read is going to say non-toxic because that's required by law, I'm pretty sure. But when there's not a clear definition of what toxic means, it can be a pretty big problem. So toxic-free, on the other hand, only includes natural ingredients that are known to be safe. So a good rule of thumb here is if you can't say the word, if you're reading those labels and there's no help in understanding what in the world it is, it likely is a toxin. And read the labels on your kids' products, even in their vitamins and anything that you're putting on their skin and into their bodies. There is just because it's made for kids does not mean it's safe by any means. Sometimes those things can be worse. Something that's really bad is those flavored, like bubblegum flavored kids' toothpaste. Make sure you read those and find out what it is that you're giving your kids to brush their teeth with at night.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think it's critically important for kids. Emily and I, we talk about this, is that for Adler, he's living in a more toxic world than ever. We grew up and it probably wasn't as bad, but it's getting worse every year. So we're really trying to do what we can to reduce his exposure to a lot of these toxins, because unfortunately I don't think it's going to get a lot better. And so starting his kind of life off right and making sure he's not getting exposed to a lot of these harmful things, I think will make a big difference, not only next year, but I'm talking about 20, 30, 40 years down the road. I think that toxic load will be much, much less for him.
So this is our 100% natural Nature's Pearl toxic-free skincare line. So this is all certified toxic-free, beyond organic, we like to say. You can see the entire line of products here, including the skincare products, the personal care products, the juice, the energy shots, and our near and dear to our hearts, Nature's Pearl NP Pro Trim Body Shake. And you can be 100% confident in using these products that you are not exposing yourself to things that you should not be. And Our son loves to play when I'm getting ready now. He likes to have something to play with, and I feel extremely confident giving him a little bit of lotion or pumping a little bit of foam and cleanser in his hand, letting him rub his hands together and put it on his face or whatever he wants to do, that I don't need to worry about what's touching his skin and what he might stick in his mouth with a finger or something like that. So it's very, very reassuring to know that we can completely depend on these products. And they're safe for infants and newborns. That foaming cleanser is a great shampoo and cleansing agent for babies and young kids as well as adults. So these are really products that can be used for the entire family.
Yeah, so we'll just touch on this briefly. We've already talked about this to some degree, but some of the toxins frequently found in foods include those artificial sweeteners. Something we haven't really talked about a lot is the glyphosate. That's the GMO foods that are sprayed with Roundup. And that includes nearly all soy and corn, and that will be important in just a second here. I'll kind of explain why soy is important. But then pesticides, I mean, basically the same thing as the glyphosate, and then hormones, and I think that last word is antibiotics, but I'm not positive there. So if we haven't beat you over the head enough with this, no more artificial sweeteners. So please stop consuming anything that contains sucralose, aspartame, acesulfame K, or saccharin. Again, you're not doing your body any good here. Now, I do want to take a little time to talk about why the protein powder, we also made sure that this is toxic-free, because protein powders are probably one of the worst sources of toxins that are out there. Like Emma was saying, is that a lot of these processed foods and a lot of the protein powders, a lot of them are using these artificial sweeteners in order to enhance the flavor profile. And so you do get a kind of a sweeter taste to it, but again, you're getting it full of those artificial sweeteners, and again, I'm considering those toxins. So if you are using a protein powder now, go see if there's sucralose in there. I bet you that there is. But we wanted to make sure that there's no artificial sweeteners. We only wanted to use just a little bit of the natural sweetener stevia. We also wanted to make sure that there was no artificial preservatives. Again, that's seen throughout these protein powders. We also want to make sure there's no dyes or coloring. Again, a lot of times, I don't know what people are thinking, but they'll color these protein powders, to make them look more appealing. Again, a bad idea. No artificial flavoring. Now, that's also very important, because a lot of times, if you look at the protein powders and the ingredients, a lot of times they'll just say like flavor or something like that, or like vanilla flavor. I don't know, something along those lines. But a lot of times, if they just say flavor, that means it's a chemical. That means it's an artificial flavor, and like I said, that's made in the lab. That's not a natural flavor. We only use natural flavoring in the protein powder. And again, another important distinction, and that's what I was talking about, is that this protein powder is non-GMO protein. So if you remember from the past slide, is that a lot of the protein powder, again, if they're not whey-based, a lot of them are soy-based. And soy is almost all GMO. So no matter how hard you try to get the glyphosate off of the soy, it's still going to be in there. So if you're going to be choosing a protein powder, don't do soy, don't do the dairy-based. Again, if you remember about the animal proteins, that it's important to make sure you're good staying away from those, because that's where a lot of the toxins are stored. So this is a plant-based pea protein that is all natural. It's very safe. Again, we use this for our kids as well, and it's just a kind of well-rounded nutrition program that again is really good for everybody.
Yeah, it's very difficult to get healthy convenience foods. I mean, we need convenience products these days because we are also busy and we don't have time to spend hours in the kitchen, but we also have to pay really close attention to what's going into our bodies, and that's one of the great things about this shake, is that it's incredibly convenient, and it also, we can trust what's in there and know that we're putting great nutrition and a safe product into our body and that of our family as well.
Yeah. All right, next thing here is to drink plenty of water. So most people are not drinking nearly enough water. When I ask them, during my appointments, is how much water are you drinking, they say, well, I probably drink a glass or two a day, and that's far from enough. We should be shooting around 40 ounces of water every day. And the reason why, again, what did I say?
80 ounces of water every day, not 40.
Did I say? Okay, 80 ounces. Yes, thank you for clarification. We need a lot of the water, because again, the water is going to be what filters out our liver and our kidneys to help us get rid of those toxins. Now, the other problem is that the water that most people are drinking is still full of toxins. You know, there's another study that was done in 2008, and they looked at a lot of the large municipalities kind of in the country. And what they found is that there was over 50 pharmaceuticals that could harm humans in the water of 41 million Americans. Unfortunately, America has become an over-medicated country, and whatever you take orally, from a medication standpoint, whether it's birth control pills, whether it's antidepressants, whether it is antipsychotics or hormones or whatever else it may be, you are going to pee that out, and that's going to go into our water system. You can't filter that out, no matter how hard you try from just a normal filtering system. That's why you do need to be trying to use more of the ultra pure distilled water, and that's what we're talking about from the blue water. And that's I've seen the facility. They've done a great job with their filtration units here, and this is their filtration system, and the way that they do the distillation. That's the way you get rid of all the other impurities and all the other toxins, is because by doing the distillation part, then you really are just left with pure water. And we try to drink as much of this as we can. Now the next thing here is to enhance the elimination. Again, that's important with just the water already. But the body eliminates toxins through three major pathways. One's through the stool, that's after it's detoxified in the liver. The next is through the urine. Again, that's what I'm talking about from the water standpoint. And same thing with the sweat when it's excreted from the skin. Now this is a pretty busy slide, and don't get caught up in the details here, but this is just showing you how the detoxification happens in the liver. There is really two steps in the detoxification system in order for us to get rid of these toxins. Step one turns these toxins into more of this toxic intermediate, and sometimes that can be more of a problem. And then there's step two, and that's where it turns the toxic intermediate into a water-soluble product, and that's where we can eliminate these things through our urine and through our stool. Now, one important thing to point out here again is that step one usually is not the major problem, but step two tends to be where the roadblock happens. And the nice thing about the Muscadine Grape Seed, I've done a lot of research on this, but this does help to enhance the liver detoxification and primarily enhances step two detoxification. It also enhances step one because of all the different phytonutrients and the antioxidant capacity of the muscadine grape, but it definitely preferentially helps to support the phase 2 detoxification, and that's where most of us need more help. We have had some people that have started the supplement, and they have had kind of a paradoxical reaction because their body has started to detoxify, and so they actually get worse a little bit before they get better. Sometimes that's a good thing, but that's where a trained clinician needs to be aware of those things. But again, this is very good, and this is an important part of enhancing liver detoxification. All right, so in summary, guys, thanks for sticking around. Just to summarize this, toxins are a serious health threat. I hope I've emphasized that enough. Nearly everyone has a high level of toxins floating around in their blood. In order to help us get rid of these toxins, there are three things we must do. First, we have to reduce our exposure, and that's in cleaning up your nutrition, like with a clean protein powder versus a toxic full protein powder, as well as getting rid of those toxic skincare products. Reduce your exposure with those two main things. That will make a big difference. Drink plenty of the ultra-pure distilled water. The blue water is a great option for that. And then I do recommend a Muscadine Grape Seed capsule supplement in order to enhance the liver detoxification. So I think that's it for tonight. Emily, do you have anything else you wanted to?
No. I think we're going to hand it back over to Jack and Ashley to finish this off and share with you some of these awesome specials that Nature's Pearl is offering to you this evening. So thanks so much for sticking around. Go ahead and ask all the questions that you have, and we'll be answering those as quickly as possible.
All right, thanks, guys.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Emily and Wiggy. Dr. Wiggy and Emily, backwards. That was a wonderful, wonderful presentation, and so informative. It's amazing when you think of 84,000 toxins and growing in our environment, and we're exposed to all of them. And all the toxins that they have found in studies in our bodies is amazing. So, this is a very, very important webinar as they instruct you to do the different things that you can take control of. You know, you can control your health, and to do that, you know, with what they've suggested is just vital to your future and your health. So, you know, we have some great specials here and some packs we'd like to share with everybody. If you want to get involved in our toxic-free program, which is all of our products, you know, everything that we've exposed here to you today, our MP Pro shakes, our supplements, our energy shots, and certainly our skin and personal care, all are toxic-free. And that is beyond organic. So if you like organic products, this is even beyond that. It's even more toxic-free. But this is amazing. So here's what we have to offer. It's very exciting. We have a pack called a Trim Body Pack. This is 2 bottles of our Nature's Pearl Muscadine supplement, 4 vanilla protein powders, 4 canisters, and 2 cases of our energy shots. And this is $219. Our next pack is a transformation pack. This has a little bit of everything in it of our toxic-free line of Muscadine products. 2 bottles of Muscadine supplements, 4 vanilla protein powder canisters, 1 case of energy shot, 1 shampoo, 1 conditioner, and 1 ultra pure lotion, and then our 2 bottles of our 10-ounce Nature's Pearl Muscadine juice, which is absolutely delicious. This pack is $269. Okay, moving on to our next slide. And I'd like to also just recognize and thank Ashley Seaman. Ashley's running our webinar tonight. Ashley is our Director of Marketing and Communications at Nature's Pearl, and she does a marvelous job day in and day out. And we just want to thank her for being so dedicated in running this webinar tonight. Okay, moving along. We have also, if you just want to do the Trim Body transformation and you're just interested in getting this cutting-edge Nature's Pearl NP Pro Trim Body Shake and get on the Trim Body Transformation Program, we have 3 different options here, all for $99.99. And what this is, it's we have 4 of our vanilla NP Pro shakes. We also have 4 of our chocolate NP Pro shakes, and then we have 4 that are split between 2 chocolate and 2 vanilla. So that those 3 options are all $99.99, which is an amazing value for our NP Pro shakes. Okay, we have another special here. We have a webinar special that we'd like to offer. What this is this is an amazing value here. This is where you get our bottle of the ultra-rich lotion, our Muscadine lotion, which is just amazing. Everyone just raves about this, and it is an incredible product. My whole family uses it, and everyone in our company uses it. It's an amazing product. We have our 1 bottle of our supplement. It's a 60 count. And then we have 1 canister of our NP Pro shake, Vanilla Pro shake. And then we also, free of charge, give you a toxic alarm guide. This is a guide that really exposes toxins and where you can find them throughout all the products you're currently using right now in your household, and products that you come in contact with on a daily basis that you just don't even know how dangerous they are until they're really exposed. And Dr. Wiggy and Emily did a great job tonight of exposing those, but this gives you even more information you can study, and it has a checklist of different toxins that you can compare to the products that you're using in your home right now to see if these are things you should stay away from. So anyhow, this is a great value, $69.99 for this. This is an amazing value here, and it's our webinar special only, the only place you can find this, this pack. Okay, on top of all this, we have another amazing offer here. This is our Nature's Pearl Trim Body Transformation Guide. This is a beautiful, well-illustrated, well-written guide that explains all about the Trim Body Transformation Program that Dr. Wiggy and Emily created. Also, it comes with our DVD of workouts, which has 5 workouts. It has a presentation part of it. It has a cool down, and it has a warm up, and then 5 just great workouts for all different fitness levels. And this is a $99 value. It's free tonight if you order any of our packs. So you'll get this on top of all the packs that you order, and it's just going to be it's an amazing addition to these already great values that we're offering you tonight. Okay, here's how you order. You visit this npprowebinar.com, and that's how you order our products. So everything will be available there for you in the prices we've just exposed. So npprowebinar.com, and you can purchase these products today. It's just very, very exciting. We're so thankful to have everyone on our webinar tonight. And also, we'd like to let everyone know that within 24 hours, we'll have this webinar recorded and in your inbox. So look for that, and you can view this webinar again. So again, it's incredible. And I think that's it for tonight. I think this concludes our webinar, and certainly just appreciate everyone being on. I think it's been extremely informative. We thank Dr. Wiggy and Emily again for this amazing information that they've presented. We're going to stay on for a little while longer and answer questions. If anyone has questions, you can post, and Dr. Wiggy and Emily will be answering those, and looking for maybe 10 or 15 minutes of questions, and then we'll shut it down completely. So again, on behalf of Nature's Pearl, thank you very much for everyone being on our webinar, and if you have any questions, please start that process now. Thank you.
If you've got some further questions, go ahead and ask them here. Thanks so much, everyone, for attending tonight. We'll stick around for a few more minutes to answer your questions.
Hi everyone, this is Ashley. I got a really good question here that says, for how long will the specials be available? These specials will be available through Friday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. So you can go and order as many as you like, but the specials do end on Friday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time.
We have a question here about how the protein works in the body for those needing to lose or gain weight. And basically, this all comes down to hormones. So we talked a lot about this in our last webinar, but the way that the protein works is it increases a hormone in our body called glucagon, which fights against insulin, which is stimulated by sugars and starches and that type of thing, which is very prevalent in our Western culture diet. And how it works is the glucagon fights the insulin to keep our blood sugar balanced throughout the day and turn on powerful fat-burning hormones so that we can continue to lose fat without feeling deprived, because the protein helps us to feel full and focused and really keeps everything balanced in the body.
Yeah, if you guys are looking for a way to start living toxic free, the Trim Body Transformation is a great place to start, because not only are cleaning up your nutrition, which is probably the most important step to do. You'll also be drinking more water, and you'll be exercising. So again, if you want to start a jump start in order to living toxic free, Trim by Transformation is a great way to do that.
We have a question about unrefined coconut sugar, a couple of those actually. And unrefined coconut sugar definitely is more natural than the refined processed white table sugar that we see, but sugar is sugar, and so you have to be very, very cautious of the amount of sugar that you're putting into your body because it can still become toxic in excess amounts. So yeah, a little tiny bit of coconut sugar for someone that doesn't need to lose a lot of fat is probably okay. But it's not something that you want to be including at multiple times per day and baking with lots of that kind of thing. And there are other things that we can use to substitute. We encourage natural, organic stevia, stevia in the raw, and not the processed stevia. And there are definitely different types of stevia out there. You've got to pay very close attention to those labels as well. Okay, I think that we've answered pretty much all the questions out there. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Be sure to share this with your friends, anyone that you would think might benefit from listening. And we'll have details on your next webinar very shortly. So thank you guys so much for joining us this evening, and we'll be in touch soon. Enjoy those specials.
Thanks. Good night, guys.